Okay, this video is about your shoes, your footwear. Remember, in our sport, it's really the only piece of equipment that we have. We are in a fairly inexpensive sport, but you do need to invest money in shoes. So just real quick, I'll show you what I got. I have a pair of Nike Structures that I wear for the roads. I have another pair of Nike Structures that I wear on the trails. I have a pair of Hokas that I wear for doubles. And I have a pair of Asics that I wear for workouts. So these are all different pairs of shoes that I wear, and the question is why? Well, I'm trying to avoid injuries. So when I first came back and I wanted to run a lot, 60, 70, 80 miles a week, I bought a bunch of shoes. And so the idea is I don't want to be wearing the same shoe every day for a couple of reasons. If you wear the same shoe every day, you're at a high risk of getting what we call overuse injuries because your foot is landing in the same shoe day after day for thousands of steps. I did 11 miles on Sunday and I took 18,000 steps, okay, according to my Garmin watch. So just imagine if every single day you're going and running the same way, you're eventually going to get overuse injuries. So what I try to do is have different pairs of shoes. So shoes are broken down into different things. If you notice, this is a Hoka. It has a higher stack height. And so that's the height that the shoe is off the ground, that your foot is off the ground. There is something else called a drop. So in this structure, this has a 10 millimeter drop. What that means is my foot is actually, the back part is higher than the front part. The midsole is higher than the forefoot. So by 10 millimeters. So that means that I'm slightly like this when I run. Some shoes have 5 millimeters, 8 millimeters. Some shoes have 0 drop. Okay, if you run barefoot, that's 0 drop. Your foot is completely flat when you go to run. And so all these things are different ways for your foot to not always be landing the same way, whether it's the stack height, the drop, or the Structure is a stability shoe. So it's got a post here that keeps me from pronating too much. The Hoka that I own is a neutral shoe. It doesn't have that. Now, because I can't run in a neutral shoe personally, I bought a pair of custom orthotics that I could put into my Hokas. Even though it's a neutral shoe, I put these in so I don't get injured. So I'm doing all these things to make sure that I am landing slightly differently each time I go to run so that I don't get those overuse injuries. The second reason that you want to have more than one pair of shoes is simply wear. Okay, if you guys don't know, shoes, modern shoes, are only meant to last 250 to 500 miles. So what that means is if you're running 50 miles a week, your shoe that you may buy brand new out of the box here, you pull this thing out, it's only going to last you 5 to 10 weeks at 50 miles a week. Okay, if you're running 30 miles a week, which you shouldn't be in our group, that's going to last 10 to 20 weeks. Okay? If you're running 75 miles a week, some of the shoes may only last you 3 weeks, 3 to 7 weeks. So if I have 2 pairs of shoes that I'm alternating between, then what that means is I'm going to double the lifespan of my shoes, right? So I'm going to be able to use those 2 pairs of shoes for 10 to 20 weeks or at 50 miles a week. So it's gonna lengthen the amount of time before I have to get new pairs of shoes. So a couple other things I want to go over. Things that wear out shoes faster. You only have a certain number of miles in them. You do not want to be wasting miles walking around in your running shoes. So never do that. You don't want to be walking around in your running shoes if you can all avoid it. 2, how your foot strike. Obviously, if you're really heavy on your feet, that's going to cause your shoes to wear out faster. We're always talking about being lighter on your feet. That's really important. Whether you're neutral or you pronate. People who pronate, people whose foot lands and then turns in, you're going to wear your shoes out faster. And then, of course, the kind of terrain that you run on. Cement is going to wear your shoes out the fastest, followed by synthetic track, dirt trails, and then finally grass. Grass is like the least intensive on your shoes. Now, what happens if your shoe wears out and you keep using it? Well, if you have great form, perfect form, and strong legs, probably nothing. You're probably not going to get injured. Okay, but not all of us have that. What it's going to do is going to increase the chance of you getting injured. Okay, now if your shoe wears out and you keep training on it, it just means that it is now molded to your foot it'll wear down, and where before you were running this way, now because you've used it so much, this midsole has collapsed. It doesn't have its responsiveness anymore. You'll have worn down this part, and you'll start doing this and this and this more. It'll make you have a gait that you don't want to have, and eventually you're going to get injured. You see it all the time. So really what I want to go through is just 3 recommendations that you can take away from this video. Number 1, if at all possible, you want to have at least 2 pairs of running shoes in your rotation. Okay, so whether that is, I got these structures and I've got this different type. This is a neutral Hoka. It's got a higher stack height. This is a stability Nike structure. I've got these 2 in my rotation that I'm using one and then the other, one and then the other, whatever it is, so that I'm giving a different feel. So if at all possible, you want to have 2 different types of shoes that you're rotating between to avoid those overuse injuries. And of course, lengthen the lifetime of your shoe. The other thing you want to be able to do, and this I'm really big on this, is barefoot running. Barefoot running is so important. I know some of you shy away from it. I don't know, maybe because you want to have the world's nicest feet or something. But running barefoot, it's 0 drop. God intended you to run barefoot. Wearing shoes means that all the muscles in your foot here, the ones that you don't use, the ones that your shoe they're atrophying. And so by strengthening those little muscles in the foot, those stabilizing muscles, that's going to help you stay injury free. Now you don't need to go and run 10 miles barefoot. That's why when I put on the calendar, it's like 5 minutes at a time. Today I ran 3 miles barefoot. You don't even need to do that. Just get some time running barefoot and then build it up, because it's going to make you a better runner. It's going to make you faster, and it's going to make you more injury resistant to shin splints, to plantar fascia, a whole slew, ankle injury problems. Barefoot running is extremely important. You got to have it in little doses as you build up. The third thing thing you want to come away with is have your next pair of running shoes ready to go. So right now I've got the neutrals and I've got the structures. And when these go, I have a pair of Brooks Adrenaline, which are ready to go here. And then I have pairs of Nikes that are ready to go here for my next, once those wear out. I'm already ready for the next one. Now I get it. Not everyone has that kind of money. Your parents, they're not going to want to buy you, etc. I think you need at least 6 pairs of running shoe a year. 2 for the summer, 2 for the fall, 2 for the spring. That's not counting track spikes or anything like that. But, it comes down to this. If someone said to you, you know what, we already bought you a pair of shoes for the summer. If someone said to you, if you could just pay $100 and you won't get injured this summer, would you do it? That's really what it comes down to. If you can invest, if you could just pay $100 and guarantee you're not going to get injured, would you do it? That's what 2 pairs of running shoes are going to do for you this summer. And then, of course, you're going to need 2 more pair in the fall. So not a really expensive sport that we're in. This is the only piece of equipment you really need. You don't need a heart rate monitor or a Garmin watch. You'd be better off buying 6 pairs of running shoes and throw your Garmin in the garbage. Okay? Running shoes are way more important than any other piece of technology or equipment. So seriously consider investing in running shoes if at all possible. Okay, now, again, you could get away with just wearing 1 pair of shoes the entire year. Again, some people have more talent, they're light on their feet, they run perfectly neutral, perfect form, and they're fine. Me, I'm not that pressed. Well, I have like boxes and boxes of shoes here because I'm doing everything I can to stay healthy. So, sorry this video was long, but I wanted to get that information about running shoes out to you guys.